Captain Chris has won you an Arkle. He's been fourth in a Ryanair, sixth in a Gold Cup, and as a 10-year-old seems to have come back as good as ever this season. Yeah,
fantastic when he won at Ascot the other day, grade 1 there. It was, as we said at the time, his Gold Cup because right-handed track, 2 miles 6, absolutely perfect, and he won very easily.
And you must have quite fancied his chances, given the way he'd performed recently, his win before that and his run at Peterborough in the Peterborough Chase at Kempton. Going into that race, it must have made your confidence quite high.
Yeah, absolutely. The Peterborough Chase, he ran very well, giving weight away. Probably needed the run a bit. Won very easily at Kempton and won just as easy at Ascot. So he's certainly at the top of his game at the moment.
And just turning the clock back to his very early days, he had a light campaign over hurdles before being sent chasing. Was he always seen by yourself as a chaser rather than a hurdler? Yeah,
very much so, as probably the majority of horses here are. But he never didn't actually see a racecourse until he was 6. That was his first ever run in a bumper. And he won a couple of hurdle races that season. But he was always going to be a better chaser, yeah.
Has it surprised you how well he stayed later on in his career, given he was an Arkle winner in his formative years?
Do you know, I have a bit of a theory, really, that the better a horse is, the less the trip matters. And he's very, very good. And I wouldn't like to say what his best trip is, really, but he hopefully will stay 3 1/4 in the Gold Cup.
So you mentioned the Gold Cup. I know people have talked about his left-hand, right-hand preferences, but after the win at Ascot recently, you're wanting to go back to Cheltenham and give the Gold Cup another crack.
Well, there's only one Gold Cup, isn't there? You know, if he produced his best on the day, he would definitely have an each-way chance. So we just will have a go. But I wish it was right-handed.
And one race to come that is right-handed towards the back end of the campaign, Punchestown, would that be on the agenda for him?
Yeah, very, very much so. Yeah, that would be the aim on the 30th of April. But there is no other race to run him in before then. So we just were running the Gold Cup because there's nothing to lose.
Royal Regatta, Philip, he's 2 from 3 over hurdles and looked really stylish when winning on his debut at Aintree early on in the season.
Yeah, very good indeed. He won really well that day and at Leicester the following run. So that was great. And then we went to Cheltenham on New Year's Day. Maybe in retrospect shouldn't have run in with the terrible weather we had that day and really deep ground. He still had a chance to jump in the last, but didn't perform to his best, really. So we've been waiting for better ground and have a run before Cheltenham. Cheltenham's looming and we haven't had a run, so he's going to go straight there.
And how's he been in the intervening period since that New Year's Day run?
Yeah, great. Absolutely fine, you know. We've had no issues whatsoever. Just been waiting for some reasonable ground, which obviously this year has been difficult to find.
And do you view him as a horse with real potential?
It's difficult to know at this stage. When he won his bumper at Haydock last season, he looked very good, and his first 2 runs over hurdles were fantastic. I suppose at the moment we forgive him the run at Cheltenham and hope that he could be very good indeed. And which race would you be looking to at the festival? Oh, that's the question with all these horses at the moment, isn't it? I suppose he ought to be better off in a handicap, really, 130 odd. So the Martin Pipe conditional race or the Coral Cup, I suppose.
Champagne West, Philip, was beaten a fair way on his debut, some 89 lengths, but since then has barely looked back and his form's really taken off.
Yeah, but the first time actually at Exeter, he jumped on the back of one halfway down the back straight, completely wrecked his chance. So Richard was very easy on him, and that was it.
But his form's really taken off of late, and it's nice to see the horses who he's beaten the likes of Deputy Dan coming out and franking the form.
Very much so, and the run last time at Ascot was very impressive. He won well that day. He's 145 now, so the problem is do we go for one of the novice hurdles or one of the handicaps? So we'll decide all that near the time.
And what would be his options if you're looking at handicaps and for the graded races as well?
Well, if the ground was very soft, he'd probably go 2 mile 5 in the Neptune or Coral Cup. And if the ground was reasonable, then he'd probably end up in the Pro Temps final or the Old Bartlett novice hurdle. So lots of options.
And he's been a lovely improving sort. His jumping with each one of his starts seems to have got better and better.
Yeah, he certainly has, and you know he's a big horse. It's taken a bit of time to get organised and to get his jumping together, and it certainly seems to be a lot better. He jumped very well last time at Ascot, so we're hoping for better things. And
is a winning point to point? Would you be looking down the fencing and chasing route for next season?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's very much going to be his job long term. But for the moment, we're hopefully going to win a decent hurdle race or 2 in the spring.
Well, Philip, Cheltenian winner of the 2011 champion bumper, is he heading back for this year's festival?
Very much so. The county hurdle is likely to be his race. He ran very well in the Betfair hurdle to finish 4th. And there's hopefully more improvements to come, as that was only his 4th ever hurdle race.
And he was off for a long time after the champion bumper. Just talk us through what's gone on with him the last couple of seasons.
He had a tendon problem after the champion bumper. Never lame on it, but nevertheless the scan showed there was an issue there. So he ended up missing 12 months. came back last year, ran really well at Doncaster, just beaten in a photograph. And then after that, he ran a bit disappointing at Cheltenham Festival, all came a bit quick, really. Hadn't had enough experience either. This season, he had his first run at Uttoxeter, won very easy, but it was a moderate affair, and then ran very well in the Betfair Hurdle.
It was a thrilling performance at Newbury against really seasoned handicappers for a horse who still is quite lightly raced.
Yeah, and there's two reasons why he should improve. One, because he's a very, very stuffy horse, and I think fitness-wise, he won easy at Uttoxeter and probably didn't really have a race, really, and the Betfair Hurdle got to the bottom of him. And as you say, lack of experience. So certainly, hopefully, he'll improve for both reasons.
And you're more tempted down the handicap route than putting him in back in the Supreme once again?
We'll look at the Supreme and see what ends up there, but I expect we're probably going to be more competitive in the handicap.
And looking to the future, is he going to be a 2-mile, or would you be tempted at some stage to be training him over further?
He's 8, so you'd be thinking probably we'll be going further at some stage, but he's got plenty of pace, so we're in no rush.
Colour Sqaudron Philip's yet to win over fences, but he's been at Cheltenham for his last 3 starts and has ran a cracker on each occasion. Yeah,
it ran great in the Paddy Power, really pleased, and the December meeting as well. That was another good run. So he's probably one of the best novices in the country. Won lots of prize money over fences, but he hasn't won a race yet.
We've not seen him since that run in December at Cheltenham. What's he been up to in the interim?
He had a bit of an easy time after the last run. Wouldn't have wanted the ground as been recently, so we decided in the end to go straight to Cheltenham.
And the plan this time around?
I suppose it'd be the Burn Group, the 2.5 mile handicap chase, but he is in the 2.5 mile novice chase as well.
And do you think there's still improvement to come with him? So it only had the 6 over fences so far.
Yeah, I would hope so anyway. I mean, he's certainly, I suppose his best run of all was in the Paddy Power, and definitely he's kept on going the right way, so I hope there is.
We last saw Gardle Victoire at Kempton in the Tolworth, Philip, and he's won, 2 of his 4 starts and really created quite a favourable impression on his first couple of outings.
Yeah, very much so. His first 2 outings were really good. The Tolworth, Richard Johnson put it very much down to the ground, thought that the soft ground wasn't ideal, and some of his jumping through the race wasn't as good as it could be. So I'm not quite sure how good he is, really, whether the Tolworth is his correct form, or whether he's actually quite a lot better than his run there.
And you look back to the run at Cheltenham before that when he was beaten by Ballyalton. Although beaten, there's probably a lot of positives you could take from the race.
Yeah, because it was a bit of a muddly affair. Ballyalton probably at the time was one of the top novices, and he's also a lot of potential. Yeah.
And was there a temptation after his last run to try and get another one in before Cheltenham?
Well, we would have done actually had we found some reasonable ground, but we haven't done so. So I expect he's going to go straight there.
4?
That's a difficult one again, really, isn't it? I would have thought probably the County Hurdle. 138. You're not going to be probably competitive with the best of the horses in the Supreme Novice Hurdle. And
he won his only start as a bumper horse. Is he a horse that's always shown you quite a lot from an early age?
Yes, he has, but the bumper he won was a 3-year-old bumper at Exeter with a very few runners, and it was probably a non-event, really. And then actually last season after that, he was going to run in the 4-year-old bumper on New Year's Day at Cheltenham, and it was abandoned. And then, like a lot of ours in the spring, he got unhealthy, so he never ran again. But he's fine now.
Minora Philip lost his unbeaten record at Kempton when he was pulled up in the King George over the Christmas period. How's he been since then?
Yeah, he's been absolutely fine, but we've had him entered lots of times. Can't run him because he really does not want the very, very soft ground. He won the Peterborough Chase last season, which was run at Kempton on heavy, but it's not ideal for him.
So ground purely was the issue when he ran at Kempton?
Well, no, I wouldn't say it was just that. I don't know, he definitely ran well below par. No obvious reason afterwards, but I don't know, first run of the season, and he didn't run to his best.
But you look back through, heading in towards the festival, he's got some terrific Cheltenham form looking back through the years.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Starting with the Supreme Novice Hurdle, which he won some time ago. No, he's very good round there, so I hope he is in the Ryanair this year.
Yeah, he's won a Great Wood, he's been 5th in a Champion Hurdle, he's been 3rd in the Knuckle and pulled up in the Ryanair, which he ran in last year. Is that obviously the plan going forward?
Yeah, it is, yeah. He ran very moderately in the race last year, and he has had the odd moderate run. I don't really know why, but that's definitely the plan.
But he showed that run behind First Lieutenant to be all wrong when he came back at Aintree a few weeks later. He
ran fantastic that day, first time over 3 miles actually as well. And he'd stay an easy 3 miles like that, but we wouldn't be thinking of 3 1/4 in the Gold Cup anyway.
And how would you assess his chances for the Ryanair this time around?
if he produced his real best, which, as I say, sometimes is a little bit inconsistent, but if he did, then I'm sure he'd have a good each way chance.